There's also a big thing, I imagine. I'm not going to name any names, but there have been people, now that this podcast show is kind of getting out there a bit, a lot of people call us to be on it.
Oh, really?
And there's a couple guys who reached out who said they're Hell's Angels and they know this and that, and they were I always call Mel and. Mel's like, nah, man, those guys aren't real, and is that a real thing?
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
it's a shame. And when I did the Outlaw Chronicles, and I think you might have, I don't think I said it while we were talking together. I think I mentioned it when you went out. Sonny threatened to sue me. He's going to stop get an injunction and stop it, and. So they vetted everything I said, and everything I said on the History Channel was vetted. But there's a lot of guys out there, talking a lot of stuff. I see stuff on social media, I don't know who these guys are,
right.
And sometimes I get derogatory remarks made to me
Sure.
by people. My response to them is, I'm creating a historical record. This is my story. I'd rather talk about myself than have 100 years from now somebody, well, we found out George wore dresses on on Friday night,
But I guess,
you know what I'm saying.
I know exactly what you're saying, but I guess, it's one thing to write something down, in the safety of your home behind your computer, but are guys like rolling around with patches on? I mean, are guys rolling around with,
there are some active members, I've had no issues with them. I was in Spain for 3 years. I ran into the Hells Angels there. I partied with the Banditos and the Unknowns, another 1% club there. Like I said, I ran into the Hells Angels. They didn't disrespect me. They really didn't acknowledge me. I got a nod from one of them. And I was approached by one young member on his own. Like, I used to get up every morning, 4:30, go for a walk. In Spain, man, it's just incredible to walk those streets and those alleys and whatnot. And when you go out at 5:30 in the morning, the bars are just closing, and everybody's on the streets, and it's like a festival. And I saw this big guy coming at me, and I was thinking, okay, and I'm always on guard. And he points at me, he goes, George Christie, right? And I said, yeah. And then he told me who he was. I'm not going to say who he was because he said some really cavalier things. He says, can I take a picture with you? I go, you think that's a good idea? And he goes, I'm from Spain. He goes, I don't take my orders from Sonny Barger. And I said, whatever you want to do, man. And, he took some pictures of me. And that, that's the way I was treated over there. Mm-hmm. And, I've seen some Ventura Hells Angels here. And, they don't acknowledge me and I don't acknowledge them. And I don't try to make myself big and get in their space. And I hope that they would show me the same respect back. But,
But you're who you are.
Yeah,
you're who you are. It doesn't change.
I mean, John,
you didn't decide to move to Kansas.
No,
you stayed right here.
I did.
Yeah.
And there was a rumor for a while that I had been run out of town. That's why I went to Spain. It's kind of hard to explain for the people that started that rumor. Now that I'm back,
right?
Did you guys negotiate a peace?
That is an inconvenience.
Yeah, it is an inconvenience for the story. So you need to be careful what you say to people.
Sure.
And I'm laughing at which because you get it. You
Okay.
know? Yeah, it's like people can talk a lot of shit.
That's right.
But they should be ready to back it up. But,
that's right.
Look, the war in L.A. was just, it was devastating on everybody. The victims, the victims' families, the extended victims of the people who went to prison for the crimes they committed. It affected their families. People go do time in prison. To me, the real victims are the family. Like, I'm a hard ass. They sent me to Texas. I spent a year in Texas with the Banditos. I didn't suffer. My family suffered.
You mean when you were locked up?
Yeah, my family suffered.
Yeah, I get that.
And it not only, and once they get you in their clutches, like you're on federal paper, you call it, it's like parole or probation, whatever you want to call it. They don't have parole or probation. They call it probation now, but it's essentially parole. I did the History Channel. The probation parole department wanted to take all my money. The money that I got for, they said, well, you can't profit off your criminal past. And I said, would you rather have me out robbing a bank? I said, there's a lot of nice branches around here. I was being a smart ass, Yeah. And, I got in a big dialogue with him. And I think this is important to say. I'm getting off the track again.
Okay.
But I sat in there. All they harped on was the money. They wanted to know how much money I was making. How much was I going to give to them because I had a fine imposed on me by the court. And, I said, I'm kind of ashamed of you people. I go, I'm paying for you to watch me through my taxes.
That's right.
And I say, I've been back now 4 months. I said, I think I've done wonders, man. I got a book deal. I got a TV show brewing. And you haven't asked me once how my re-entry to society is going. Do you even give a shit? All you care about is the money and what I'm doing. And is it legitimate? I said, what about the re-entry into society as an ex-convict? I'm a multiple felon. I'm almost 70 years old, and I'm a multiple felon. What the hell am I supposed to do with my life? And I'm not crying. I'm just telling you, there's a lot of obstacles out there. And I think the families, it makes it tough on the families. I'm working with a kid now, his mom and dad, I wound up trying to mentor this guy. He's in trouble, and his biggest problem is he doesn't see himself as a criminal. He sees himself as a victim. I do consulting for lawyers, and I know a lot about strategy in courtrooms. A lot of lawyers will defer to me and talk to me. I work as a witness and whatnot for the defense. And I had a client who had embezzled a bunch of money from Sony movie. He was a director. He embezzled a bunch of money from Sony. And Sony didn't want to come after him because they were afraid the way the payroll system was set up, they could be deceived by other people. They were trying to keep it on the down low. And he called me one day, and he was almost in tears. And he said to me, just profound. I go, what's the matter, man? You really sound down. He goes, I am, George. He goes, they're treating me like a criminal. And I said, my friend, you are a criminal.
Welcome, dude.
Welcome aboard, my friend.
I'm also a little bit interested. I understand what you're talking about anybody who sort of romanticizes war. Anybody has never been in it, and I think that's true of violence in general. And I think when I look at, I imagine during those days when you were in LA, if you're riding around. When the Hells Angels ride around, I mean, it's a pretty big presence up here. So, you see them, Right. I mean, they make themselves known. Loud motorcycles and loud colors,
Very visual.
Very visual, right? Yeah. So I imagine every day you're riding around during a war, there's a target on your back. And is that something that you carry with you palpably every moment?
Absolutely. And this is the thing, John. I'm working on this new book, and I put, we were fighting wars on two fronts in Southern California. We were fighting the Mongols, but we were fighting law enforcement
as well.
And, it's one thing to go to a occupied country, as long as you follow the rules somewhat, you're not going to have a problem, you're not going to get court-martialed unless you do something really off the wall. But you figure you're on the street doing the same things you would do in a war zone. But you're not a hero, man. To law enforcement, to society, you're a criminal.
That's right.
And it becomes very precarious,
But what was it? What was during those days in L.A.? What were some great what are some great memories? What are your fondest memories? What was? I mean, I imagine also there's another side to it. There's a reason why you